Last year, there was an overwhelming amount of articles talking about the male crisis of whatever, falling out of the workforce, their loneliness, their whatever. And it seems like we're about to start that again. This article from Fortune, even though I saw it on Yahoo, it says the growing crisis of the young American male could send home prices falling for years or even decades, says the Oracle of Wall Street. Let's get into this article. Meredith Whitney, deemed the Oracle of Wall Street for successfully calling the financial crisis, says home prices are likely to fall substantially, and the reasons have to do with habits picked up by young guys. You have men staying single longer, and then you have what I call a growing crisis of the young American male. They're twice as likely to live at home than women, so 1 out of 5 young men live at home with their parents. And these aren't young men going to college and coming home for holiday breaks. These are young, grown men who are choosing to live at home. Whitney told CNBC this morning. The outcome could have profound effects on the housing market. I think you're going to start to see housing prices begin a multi-year or decade decline just due to supply-demand dynamics, Whitney said. So you've had a demand-supply imbalance, more demand, less supply. And I think that's going to invert. So what that means is the supply will then outweigh the demand, which is why she sees home prices falling for years. Whitney's take is based in part on demographic shifts. The bulk of housing is owned by people in households over the age of 40, she said, but the household formations are the lowest that we've seen in a century, which translate into a demand problem. Yet many experts have predicted that home prices will only continue to go up from here. Mortgage rates reached a 2-decade high last year, and people were still buying homes because there simply aren't enough homes. Demand outweighs supply, keeping home prices high. Whitney, however, is calling it differently, as shifts within the housing world and apparently among young male adults occur. It's not clear what data she's referring to here or in the information above. Whitney argued that lower than ever interest rates ballooned inflation, and particularly housing inflation, which has priced out so many people out of the market. If you're single, the chances that you're going to be able to afford a home on your own are less likely than if you're a dual income family. Then she goes on to say that homeowners hold much more wealth than non-homeowners. Whitney has long discussed a silver tsunami set to strike the housing market as baby boomers age and their homes are freed up. You'll see a supply-demand dynamic shift, the founder and CEO of Whitney Advisory Group previously said, echoing her claims today. Normally, you would think as rates go up, home prices would go down, and that hasn't happened over the past 2 years. I think home prices will normalize because as more inventory, more supply comes on the market, you'll see a true clearing price that is lower than it is today. So I would say 20% lower than it is today. Home prices rose 6% in January. A lot of people think they'll keep going up. In January, Goldman Sachs predicted home prices will rise 5% this year and 3.7% next year. In March, Capital Economics predicted home prices will rise 5% this year. This month, CoreLogic predicted they'll increase by 3.1% this year, from February 2024 to February 2025. Toward the end of last year, Whitney said 51% of people over the age of 50 are set to downsize to smaller homes, citing an AARP report at a conference, and it would bring more than 30 million housing units to the market. More supply, or better said, supply that outweighs demands, would trigger a drop in home prices. However, this concept of a silver tsunami has been widely refuted. A recent analysis from Freddie Mac revealed that 9 million homes set to come onto the market in the next decade as baby boomers age aren't really going to disrupt the market. For one reason, younger generations will enter at the same time, meaning housing demand will continue to rise. Some have warned of a silver tsunami as aging boomers look to sell their homes, flooding the market with inventory, the Freddie Mac report read. But as this analysis demonstrates, the tsunami is more like a tide, bringing a gradual exit that will most likely be offset by new entrants. Additionally, Eric Finnegan, Vice President of Demographics for John Burns Research and Consulting, recently told Fortune that baby boomers aren't going to crash the market because they're powering it. His team found that it takes about 4 deaths to equate to one home listed for sale because a partner might hold on to it or it may be passed down to children. The number of homes listed for sale due to deaths is rising, and it will continue to, but it's not a deluge, Finnegan said. It's not a tidal wave of homes being listed for sale because of all these dying baby boomers. Okay, so it is going to be interesting to watch how the housing market starts to even out. It's also going to be interesting to watch how the economy starts to even out. We have heard of the men dropping out of the workforce. It's going to be something to watch because if they're living with parents, where are they going to go next? Especially if parents have to downsize because they're retiring. So jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about the housing market, the economy, the employer market, the demand, all that. Let me know. Jump in the comments, like, comment. This story was sent to me and it shows how important body cams are, but how important accountability and oversight are. And police should not be policing themselves. Police should not be part of their own oversight. This one, a kidnapped teen pew-pewed by police on video, shows how cops still fight transparency and accountability. It took nearly 2 years for the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department to release audio and video footage of their unaliving of Savannah Graziano, a 15-year-old girl who had been kidnapped by her father. The police initially claimed that Graziano may have been shooting at the police or even that she may have been shot by her father. So she was victimized several times. She was victimized by her father and she was victimized after the fact by these police lying on her. But the footage makes clear that she was shot as she was crawling towards the police to get away from her father, and that she was following police instructions. As she exited the vehicle, audio depicts an officer telling his colleagues, "Girl is out, the girl is out, guys. She's out on the passenger side." An officer then instructs her to come to me, come, walk, walk, walk. Then gunfire from police officers. The officers talking to Graziano then shouts, "Hey, stop shooting her. He's in the car." It was admittedly a fraught and tense situation. Graziano's father had led the police on a chase during which he repeatedly fired a gun at them, but whatever sympathy one might have for the deputies becomes hard to sustain given the department pushed a narrative about the incident that implicated a teen girl caught in an impossible predicament and for which the A had audio and video evidence that clearly contradict what they were telling the public. They lied, not contradicted, they purposely lied. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department only adopted body cameras last year. They were the last police agency in the county to do so. The Graziano incident happened in 2022, so the footage was mostly audio, dashboard cameras, and helicopter footage. But the way the department handled the incident suggests that, as with other jurisdictions, the introduction of body cameras won't be the transparency and accountability panacea they're often touted to be. Any new piece of law enforcement technology is only as good as the policies that govern its use. Tasers, for example, were initially touted as a substitute for legal force. They quickly became a compliance tool instead. Body cameras grew popular in the late 2000s after an ever-growing number of incidents in which cell phone footage shot by bystanders contradicted police accounts. Body cams were supposed to provide a non-corruptible, biased account of police interactions with the public. But to achieve that promise, police departments, city officials, and state legislators needed to enact policies to ensure the new technology served the interests of the public and wouldn't be abused. That isn't what happened. Instead, we got a patchwork set of laws and policies around the country that largely reflect how those jurisdictions and departments approach policing prior to the implementation of body cameras. In places where police operate with little oversight and accountability, we got policies that largely entrust camera footage to the police themselves. Only in a handful of jurisdictions with a more skeptical, progressive approach to policing did we get promoting more transparency. This polarization of policing policy continued after the death of George Floyd. Progressive cities and states passed policies to make body cam footage more transparent and available. Conservative state legislatures, meanwhile, put the decision on whether or not to release footage squarely within the purview of police departments. Some prevented civilian review boards from accessing footage without authorization from law enforcement officials. Others allowed police to review footage before being interviewed or writing reports about the controversial incident, a policy that lets them exonerative exonerative narratives without fear of being contradicted by video. Legislators in Indiana, Arizona, Nebraska, Louisiana, Texas, and Florida introduced or passed laws restricting the ability of citizens to record on duty officers with their cell phones. Such laws would likely have criminalized the footage of Floyd's death that forced public officials to investigate the initial police account of Floyd's death and eventually sparked international outrage and protest. And that, of course, is the point. After the high-profile police unaliving of Walter Scott, South Carolina passed a bill requiring police agencies in the state to implement body cameras, but the bill severely limited public access to footage from those cameras. As I personally reported over the years, this is a state badly in need of police transparency and oversight. North Carolina has a similar law, giving police agencies enormous discretion over when, how, and how much video footage to release, even to the families of police unalived by police officers. A New York Times ProPublica investigation published in December 2023 looked at the 79 deaths in police custody in the month of June 2022, for which there should have been body camera footage. Police had released the footage in under half of those cases. Any law or policy that lets police departments release body camera footage that vindicates officers and such footage does often vindicate them, but also lets them prevent the public and oversight board from accessing footage that implicates them is the opposite of transparency. It's worse than having no body cameras at all, and it only further undermines public trust in the police, a problem body cameras were supposed to improve. It isn't as if legislators couldn't have known this would be an issue. Prior to body cams, there were dashboard and security cameras, and there is a long and sordid history of officers conveniently failing to turn on their dash cams. During use of force incidents, the questionable traffic stops, dash cams coincidentally malfunctioning at critical moments, and possibly damning footage somehow getting edited or lost or destroyed. One civil rights lawyer told me that in Little Rock, Arkansas, for example, police would routinely fail to activate their dash cams or body mics during an altercation. When the suspect would later report abuse of force, the officer might get a slap on the wrist for failing to activate the devices, but the more serious complaint would be dismissed for lack of evidence. After the police unaliving of Laquan McDonald in 2024, Chicago police suppressed dashcam and surveillance footage for more than a year. A subsequent audit found that Chicago police routinely sabotaged their dash cameras and body mics. After a 2018 incident of alleged excessive force in Albuquerque, all 5 officers involved claimed their body cameras had simultaneously malfunctioned. The same after a 2014 incident in Utah, 2 dash cameras and 3 lapel cameras somehow all stopped working at the same time. An all-time record, as far as I know, was a 2007 incident in Maryland in which a reporter and cameraman doing a story on police abuse claimed they were pulled over and roughed up by cops in Prince George's County. The department would later claim that all 7 dash cameras at the scene coincidentally malfunctioned. The ideal body cam policy would allow civilian oversight boards to access body camera footage immediately after an incident. It would also make footage available to the public immediately after giving police a reasonable period to review it. and make redactions to protect ongoing investigations or to protect the privacy of witnesses and bystanders. It would punish police officers who disable or fail to activate their cameras with sufficient punitiveness to compel compliance. In lawsuits or criminal cases for which there should be police camera footage but isn't, an ideal policy would instruct juries to make favorable inference that such evidence would have been positive for the party opposing the police. Such a policy would also instruct police agencies to regularly review footage, not just for infractions by the police officers, but to identify areas where officers could use more training and guidance. It would require officers involved in shootings, improper use of force, or accused of misconduct to first write a report without reviewing the footage, then allow them to view it, and then require them to write a report explaining any discrepancy. These shouldn't be controversial policies. Well-intentioned cops can only be helped by them. Unfortunately, the most critical component of any sensible body cam policy is also clearly lacking among too many policymakers and legislators: the courage to ensure that people we arm and entrust with the power to unalive are governed with careful oversight, ample transparency, and the appropriate consequences when they violate that trust. Yes, cops need oversight, and they should not be doing oversight within the departments, because those departments will typically cover for them. And it's always that the cover up is worse than just outright being transparent. These cover ups are no good for anybody. Anyways, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I think many countries are getting tired of these PeePeeBros and sex pests. This one coming out of Colombia. Medellin's new mayor cracking down on vice and sex tourism amid local fury. After being elected to a second non-consecutive term as mayor, defeating the unpopular incumbent cousin-in-law by a whopping 71%, Federico Fico Gutierrez is taking rapid steps to reduce the vice and sex tourism that rapidly grew during the previous mayoral administration. While Ladies of the Night without intermediaries is legal in otherwise socially conservative Colombia, Medellin in particular has seen a rise in sex tourism, angering many locals. On the other hand, engaging in sexual activity with a minor is a serious crime in Colombia. Monday, Mayor Gutierrez used his emergency powers to outlaw Ladies of the Night immediately in Medellin's El Poblado sector, including Parque Hieras, Provincia neighborhood popular with the tourists. Emergency measures are effective for 6 months. The mayor also restricted bars, restaurants, and nightclubs to a 1 a.m. closing time. This move comes after a curfew measure for minors, still in effect, that the mayor enacted at the end of January in several commercial districts of the city where nightlife is a major component. We have to recover these spaces that crime has been taking over, deconfusing these areas of the city and putting our women and especially our girls, boys, and adolescents at risk. The work of our mayor's office will continue there every day, 24 hours a day, with all our support, said Gutierrez, who explained that this sex trafficking is controlled by the La Teresa, La Raya, and Robledo mafias active in Medellin. This is Dominic DaVincio, who is facing charges in sexually exploiting minors. Okay, they continue with this quote from the mayor. Here we need everyone's commitment, understanding that this situation that has hit rock bottom. We did not come here to hide problems. We came to recognize them. There is a serious, difficult situation. I said it from my first day in office. Some measures have been taken, and these are other exceptional ones. Earlier this month, 2 American citizens were arrested in Medellin in operations coordinated with Colombia Police and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, both for sexual exploitation of minors. Then last week, due to a tip from a concerned neighbor, 36-year-old Timothy Allen Livingston was detained when he was caught in a luxury guest house with 2 girls aged 12 and 13. This is him, Timothy Allen Livingston of Ohio. Sources explained to Finance Colombia that Livingston was released after initial detention because there was not enough evidence to immediately charge him with a crime, habeas corpus. In other words, they were not able to immediately establish that he had engaged in sex acts with the children, who had been taken into custody after the incident by the child welfare authorities. Though still under criminal investigation, Livingston immediately fled to Florida, though Colombia has an extradition treaty with the United States, and the United States has demonstrated willingness to extradite U.S. citizens to Colombia to face justice. The Colombian police temporarily sealed the luxury guest house called Gotham and located in Medellin's upscale poblado area in the Parque Lleras neighborhood. The closure lasts for 10 days pending additional legal sections. The mayor has called for the extinción de dominio, similar to the asset forfeiture in the United States, which is when the government seizes property used or paid for by criminal activity. Gotham is not a hotel, but a guest residence with 5 units marketed through Airbnb. When contacted by Finance Colombia, the management company that actually owns the building, shared this statement translated by Finance Colombia. I'm not going to read this whole statement, but it says, in recent years, we have met with authorities on countless occasions, including National Police and the Mayor's Office of Medellín, to address traffic prevention strategies, sexual violence, drug trafficking, and other phenomena that affect the safety of visitors and citizens and the integrity of our children. We have actively participated in the intersectoral roundtable and institutional Ladies of the Night of the Mayor's Office of Medellín to contribute to combating the exploitation of minors in accommodation and lodging establishments. All reservations in this tourist home are made through Airbnb. On this platform, we require that users whose identity is previously verified expressly accept our policies against sex tourism, child exploitation, and drug consumption before reserving the property. So they have to say, nope, we're not going to do that. We're not. That's all they need. In addition to the above, as hotel operators, we have implemented policies and even more robust practices to guarantee security in tourist housing. In all the public spaces of the building, we have installed security cameras, we keep strict records of guests, we implemented security procedures at the reception desk, and even train periodically and in a documented manner all our staff against child exploitation. Okay, they're just trying to cover their butts. I get it, whatever. I hope that the world gets smaller and smaller for these sex pests who are going to other countries to harm children and exploit people. I hope their world keeps getting smaller and smaller to where they need to address their degeneracy versus exporting it to other countries. And I hope other countries keep doing this, keep coming for these people and try to protect the women and the girls of these countries. All right, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, share.
Timothy Allen Livingston is an American citizen that was found last week on Good Thursday with 2 12 and 13-year-old girls in a hotel room in Medellín, Colombia. My name is Pamela. I'm a Colombian licensed attorney. All of my content is in Spanish, but I'm making this video in English so everybody in the English-speaking world that sees this video knows who this man is and what he was found for in Colombia, and that he fled the country immediately and is now in the US. According to his passport, he was born in Ohio, and according to what people in social media are saying, he still lives in Ohio. Unfortunately, Medellín is very well known among passport bros for the things that these guys come to consume in that city and nightlife. And to take advantage of the women that are exploited in broad daylight and through the night 24/7 in that city. The Colombian police did receive a call on Thursday reporting that this man was in a hotel room with 2 girls. But according to the police, because this man wasn't touching the girls when they came over and inspected the place, the hotel, and the situation, they weren't able to arrest him at the moment. Many attorneys, like myself, believe that this was a mistake. Due to this mistake, there is no warrant for his arrest, and he was able to fly internationally, and is why he is no longer in Colombia and is back in his home country. The case has gone insanely viral because Medellín locals are tired of seeing this scene over and over and over again. So remember the name Timothy Allen Livingston, and he is not the only passport bro that has been involved in sketchy situations. I'm pretty sure that the Colombian authorities are going to make this right, and this will not go unpunished. So may this be the warning that for any passport bro who wants to come to Colombia to exploit our women and to exploit our children and to commit felonies, you are not welcome, and it's not going to end well for you. So I have a really quick update on this case because I've received a lot of questions, a lot of comments, and I just want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody who shared this, reposted this, interacted with this post, because this is exactly what we needed. We needed this information to get to Ohio and to get to the US so that everybody is aware and everybody is collaborating and putting pressure on the Colombian and American authorities in order to extradite this guy. When I posted the original video, the videos of the hotel security footage had not been released or leaked into the press, but now they have. And the contents of the police report that was generated from the inspection have also been released to the press. In the video, we can see the two girls getting into the elevator, waving goodbye to the man and counting a bunch of bills. And the findings of the police report show that the man was found inside the jacuzzi of the hotel room, surrounded by substances, the girls, logically, and what men use to protect themselves when they're going to do things with a woman. You're all asking me, why are you not posting his photo, his ID, his passport? All of this is in social media. I cannot post it because I am an attorney in Colombia, and that can be even a felony down here. Not because this is defamation, because there is enough evidence that was leaked to the public for us to know that this actually happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying it. But because I cannot post another person's personal information in my profile and in my videos. But you can look for it. It's all over the internet. It's in Twitter. It's here on TikTok. It's literally everywhere, in the press even. And today the Colombian president said that he is going to ask to extradite this guy, to bring him into Colombia so that we can get him into the system and actually take him to trial and eventually put him behind bars. Although technically only a criminal prosecutor is the only person that can actually ask for a person to be detained and therefore to be extradited eventually with all of the authorities that this involves, it is important that the president is involved and knows and can just give a phone call to our general attorney and let her know that this is important. So thank you everybody that has collaborated in this. This is not for me. This is not for views or follows or likes or anything. This is to put pressure on the authorities so this actually happens, because it seems to be the only way that the authorities in Colombia act in order to prosecute or to put somebody behind bars that actually deserves it. Stay safe and keep your kids safe.